And I'm looking up at him and I said, who the hell are you? And he said, let me come down there. So he came down and started walking with me. He said, you ever done this before? I said, no. And he said, yeah, I can tell. And he said, I'm with the union, Teamsters Union. He said, you got to make big picket signs. So we only got some big white placards and put bright, that was what we wanted, you know. And then he said, you got to make noise. And so I went out and I thought, I got some Indian music and put it on a tape. And we played that. And that Indian music will pierce steel, you know. And we started playing it, and it'd go up the stairs all the way up. And about 30 minutes later, I went to the bathroom, and I was in there, and these two white guys walked in, and one of them said, holy shit, that Indian music is driving me crazy. And he said, me too. So I went out and I said, turn it up a little more. So we started, the Indian music got them, and then we made bigger picket signs. And they asked, so the news media came and they said, what group are you with? And I go, I didn't even know. I had to make up one, you know. And he says, what are your gripes and what this? And I didn't have them down. And I thought, man, this white guy's watching me. He said, you need some training, man. So after that, if I was going to call a press conference, I knew what the hell we were going to talk about. And I knew, he said, first, and then he said, did you call the news media? And I said, do you have to? He said, how the hell do you think they're going to know you're here? And I said, I don't know. So I went out and he said, here, go upstairs. And I got all the TV stations, radio and newspapers and called them up. And we called him up. I said, who are you? And I said, my name is Lehman Brightman. I'm president of a national Indian organization. We just formed that day. You know, all of a sudden I'm a damn national leader. Anyway, I said, we're picketing here and blah, blah, blah. And about a week later, some people at the Indian Center said, you act like a black person. We don't want you leading us. Indians don't picket. And I said, the hell they don't. So then we threw a picket line against the fire department, the police department, HRD, Human Resource Development, and after about 2-3 months, I became kind of a damn byword around here. All of a sudden, that militant Indian. Interestingly enough, I formed my own group called United Native Americans, and we started throwing picket lines and boycotts and getting involved. And the more I got involved, I kept hearing of another group called AIM. And I said, AIM, there's another group back in Minneapolis I keep hearing about, AIM, the American Indian Movement. And so I was giving a talk up in University of Minnesota, and I gave the talk there, and so I went down that afternoon before I gave the talk to AIM headquarters. And I met Clyde Belcourt and Dennis Banks and Russell Means and those guys, and so we all got acquainted. And I said, I've been reading a lot about you guys. And they said, yeah, we've been reading about you too. And they said, what are you doing tonight? And I said, I'm giving a talk at the university. And they said, what are you going to do afterwards? And I said, I don't know why. And they said, we're going to invade the Christians. You want to go with this? And I said, hell yeah. So I said, what are we going to do? And they said, well, the National Indian Lutheran Conference was having their meeting in Minneapolis in this huge auditorium where they used to play basketball. And I said, what time are you guys going to be down here? They said, be there around 7 or so. And I said, okay. Well, my talk was at 6. So they said, just talk maybe 30 minutes, Brightman, instead of 2 hours or something. So I gave a talk, and I jumped in a cab and went down there. And I got there, and I walked in, and Clyde was there, and Dennis. And so we were there, and they said, you ready? And I said, yeah. Well, right out in the middle of the basketball court, they had a boxing ring. And they had some chairs and a microphone out there. And they had all these people up there that were speaking, all these white people. So we went over and kicked everybody's ass out of the boxing ring and seized the microphone like I've got now. So Banks is talking. He's talking on the phone, he's quoting the Bible. Well, I'm not a Christian, I never read the Bible, you know, and I don't believe in anything. And so I turn around and Banks is quoting the Bible. And I looked at Belcourt and I said, where in the hell did he learn the Bible? He said, in a joint, man. I said, what do you mean a joint? He says, in prison. Haven't you been in prison? And I said, no. And he said, you haven't? What the hell is this? And he said, yeah. I said, you? And he said, hell yeah, I spent 18 years in there. They was about 35. So I looked and I said, you did? And he said, yeah. So I pulled a little away from him, you know. No. So then I said, what about Banks? He said, hell, he was in there 5 years. I said, what'd he do? And he said, he robbed a damn bank. So he says, you never been in prison? I said, no. So anyway, he started quoting things and Banks is quoting things, and so I started hitting them where I said, you know, I started quoting they were quoting the Bible. And so I told them, I said, the federal government outlawed Indian religion in 1884. And in 1904, they enriched the laws. And it lasted until 1933. And in 1890, they caught 250 Sioux Indians at Wounded Knee Creek in South Dakota. And they divided the men on one side and the women and children on the other. And they searched them for weapons. And then they opened fire and shot them down. It's called the Wounded Knee Massacre. The Army calls it the Battle of Wounded Knee. They killed 250 Indians. 190 were women and children. And they shot them down after they had disarmed them. And they awarded 32 Congressional Medals of Honor for shooting unarmed women and children. Those assholes killed 250 women and children and then awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, which is a medal they give, the highest medal they give to men for a bravery above and beyond the call of duty. What's so brave about shooting Indian women and children? And they ran women down and they mutilated them. And then they turned around and the Army calls it, you know, a battle. The little things like that you read about that will infuriate you and make you mad. And I started reading about all this stuff, and you know, the more I'd read, the more angry I got. And but I made it a point to learn, and so I found out the federal government outlawed Indian religion in 1884. You're supposed to have freedom of religion in this country, unless you're an Indian. They outlawed Indian religion in 1884, enriched the laws in 1884, and 1890, that's when they massacred the Sioux. And we're supposed to have freedom of religion. I started quoting that and hitting them. And it blew them away. They thought we were just three bumpkins up there who were going to get up and gripe and bitch. But we blew them away with what we were talking about. Clyde Belcourt is a fantastic speaker. Dennis is the worst speaker in the damn world, of all of us. Dennis Banks, Clyde Belcourt, and Russell Means, all of us. Dennis, he would always put you to sleep down there. He's a very good friend of mine. I got arrested by the FBI for harming the bastard. He came to our house. After they arrested us, funny thing, they surrounded the house. So my wife and I sleep in this one room, and I have two kids sleeping over another, and Dennis is in another bedroom. So all of a sudden, there was a bang on my window, on my bedroom outside. Somebody was banging on the window, almost broke it, and I said, I'm going to kick somebody's ass, son of a bitch. Wake me up like this. And I looked, I opened the blinds, and there's two white guys with pistols pointing at me. And I looked and I said, who in the hell are you? And they said, the FBI. And I said, so am I, full-blooded Indian, you know. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I looked. So I said, what the hell are you on? They said, there's Dennis Bank here. And I said, he might be why. And they said, well, we know he is. And you got 10 minutes, or 10 seconds, count of 10 or something to come out. So I told my wife, I said, Trudy, and I said, Trudy, wake up, it's the cops. And about that time, the phone rang. And she answers it. She said, it's for you, it's the FBI. And I said, God damn it, I'm talking to him right there. She looked up and, you know, and I said, go wake Dennis up. So he ran down to wake Dennis up, and he got up and he ran down the hallway and he said, holy hell, they look like blackbirds on a fence. There's so many of them around. So they wanted us to come out, and we said, okay. So I said, we're not dressed. And they said, come out as you are. And I said, bullshit, I'm not walking out in my shorts. It's January. So we got dressed, and we're coming to walk over and getting ready to go out. And Banks, they're getting ready to shoot. They would come out, we're coming out again. So Banks says, wait a minute, we need something to read. And I said, we're going to jail. What are you talking about? He said, we're going to need something to read.